The City of Phoenix holds community budget hearings throughout April, allowing residents to comment and make suggestions on the city manager's trial budget before final decisions are made. This public discussion is among the reasons the city's budget so closely matches the community's highest priorities each fiscal year.
Thank you for coming to the budget hearing here in District 4. We're really glad to have you here today. I'm going to ask real quickly, Isabel over here is the interpreter, and I think she's going to make a quick introduction of herself.
Thank you. Si hay alguna persona que no hable inglés y quiera escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor que venga y yo doy mi equipo para que pueda escuchar todo bien.
Thank you. So, I know a number of you in the crowd, so you all know how this process goes, but for those who are new, this is one of 17 budget hearings. My name is, that's going on in the city. My name is Paul Blue, and I'm a Deputy City Manager with the City of Phoenix, and our goal today is to share information about the City Manager's trial budget, and we go through the whole spring working to get feedback from the council and from the community about the priorities that should occur inside of the city's budget, all heading towards some final budget decisions that the City Council makes in May and June. And so the order that we're going to go through today is we have a short, about 10, 12-minute video that's going to give a high-level outline of what is in the trial budget and the process that we go through in developing the budget. And then we're going to hear from you. And those of you who have comments, and we have comment cards in the back. I have a stack that has gotten started here. If there's more comments you'd like to make, just please feel free to go back and get a new comment card. We're happy to take and be here as long as necessary to get all your comments. And so, really big picture before we move on to the video. We have a number of city staff here in the room. Can I ask staff to please raise their hand just so folks who are in the audience can. So we are here to help answer your questions. So if you have specific questions tonight, we absolutely would love to answer those, get you together with the staff from the appropriate department. At the big picture, at the biggest picture level, I'd like to tell you a couple of quick things about the trial budget, and then we'll move right into the video. We're preserving existing services, so this is not a budget that involves some amount of reduction in order to hit our revenues. We have sufficient revenues, and we have a bit of additional income that can support important services through that surplus. It also, the budget will, and we'll describe this a little bit, has capital improvements to continue to invest in the city's infrastructure. And we're proposing and desire to be focused on public safety and some work in parks and in homeless outreach. But in the end, your feedback is important, and I will tell you I've been doing this for a couple of decades. What happens in these budget hearings absolutely has an influence on what the council's choices are when it comes time to make their final budget decision. So we'll be, listen to the video, take your comments. We will be taking minutes of what's going on here. There's a video that's going to be helping to record the evening, so that'll be on our YouTube channel, so that's something you could see in the near future. With no further ado, Jeff, anything you want to add, or are we good? Then Kelly, why don't you run the video, and then we'll come back up after the video.
Hello everyone, and welcome to your first look at the City of Phoenix 2017-18 trial budget. The City of Phoenix wants to hear from you. Your ideas can help shape the budget each year. The final budget provides the plan for how the city will spend taxpayer money on key services you want and need, like police, fire, transit, city parks and swimming pools, libraries, youth and education, graffiti prevention, arts and culture, and help for seniors, and how they all could be impacted. The 2017-18 Phoenix City budget is balanced as required by state law and city charter. In this trial budget, the city is preserving the services our residents value. Out of the $1.2 billion general fund budget, there is a small $1.9 million surplus. This video will present proposals on how to use these funds. So here's how the city's budget breaks down. There are three sources: the general fund, enterprise fund, and special revenue fund. Let's start with the general fund. 3/4 of the general fund is for police, fire, courts, with the remaining 25% going for everything else like libraries, parks, senior services, arts, and administrative and support functions. Enterprise fund departments include aviation, water services, solid waste services, and the convention center. Special revenue funds come mostly from dedicated taxes that must be used for a specific purpose. For example, the Phoenix Parks and Preserves Initiative, also called 3PI, or Transportation 2050. That funding goes for transit, light rail, and streets. Under the strong leadership of the mayor and city council, we are glad to say the budget is balanced. Phoenix employees strive every day to work smarter, save money, and serve our customers. That includes making sound financial decisions, like keeping our credit rating strong, spending within our means, and looking for savings to use for important community services. Now let's take a look at the recommendations for additions to the budget for next fiscal year. In the general fund, there is a little less than $2 million extra, plus some opportunities to use funds differently to add service. First, adding 16 civilian police assistants. They will take over some administrative duties, freeing up officers so the officers can respond to emergency calls.
So adding police assistants to our existing staffing resources is going to do a couple of things. It's going to get our first responders back on those priority calls for service faster and increase our service delivery to our community.
Next, focusing on homelessness in our city. The plan is to create more outreach teams by eliminating 6 vacant positions in the Human Services Department. This would free up about $500,000 to send teams of outreach workers to homeless residents on the street to connect them with services and a place for shelter.
These services are critical to the city. These professional outreach teams will work hand in hand with our community partners, neighborhoods, police, to bring these really important services to a very vulnerable population.
For the library, there are 2 recommendations. Contract savings would make security at Burton Bar Central Library permanent, and the other is to create more opportunities to engage kids in educational programs. Now, that leaves about 1/3 of the surplus untouched. So the proposed budget calls for strategically setting aside that funding, about $641,000, into a rainy day fund. The intent is to offset a potential deficit in the 2018-19 budget, which was projected in the city's 5-year forecast. Okay, time now to get back to the 2017-18 budget proposals. Let's look at the enterprise funds. These services are funded with user fees, with the exception of the Phoenix Convention Center. The budget calls for putting a new emergency operations center and ambulance at Sky Harbor International Airport. This would ensure that if anyone at the airport needs medical attention, they can get to the hospital quickly from Sky Harbor. Next, the solid waste funds pays for our trash collection and recycling services. It's proposed to add 8 positions to enhance worker safety and increase collections. Perhaps you've heard of the Reimagine Phoenix campaign. This is all part of support for the goal from mayor and council to divert 40% of what ends up in our landfills by the year 2020 through recycling, composting, and education. Okay, now to other restricted funds, which are dedicated to specific services. The Phoenix Parks and Preserve Initiative Fund comes from a 1/10 cent tax to support our world-renowned parks system. To support safe use of our parks and preserve system and public safety, the trial budget would add 22 new park rangers. This would extend trailhead hours and provide additional support at flatland parks around the city.
By adding rangers, we can extend the park hours at specific locations by 2 additional hours, which means that instead of hiking in the heat of the day, you can hike a little bit later. You can drive actually into the trailhead and continue your hiking later into the evening while it's still a little bit cooler.
13 of the new park rangers would be assigned to the city's more heavily visited locations. including North Mountain, Piestewa Peak, South Mountain, and other trailheads like Echo Canyon, Cholla, and Lookout Mountain. The other 9 would be assigned to flatland parks.
Additional rangers in our community and flatland parks provide that extra layer of customer service that we currently don't have, and it'll provide an opportunity for people to get education or learn more about what's going on in the parks, and just provide that extra layer of enhanced customer service.
Also included would be funding to maintain 2 new dog parks, one at Reach 11 and the other at Deer Valley Park. From the Transportation 2050 funds, the budget calls for expanding service on some of the busiest routes around the city. It would also increase weekday midday frequency on routes serving Thomas and Camelback roads. And from the Development Services Fund, the proposal is to add several positions to keep up with increased building permits and inspections due to economic growth. Also, to increase and enhance communication and continue our efforts to streamline processes. One last important update is on the hiring of more police officers and firefighters. The city is on target to meet its recruiting goals of 3,125 officers and 1,615 firefighters.
This budget that we're talking about now includes the addition of roughly 250 officers next year, getting us to our sustainable goal.
So it's important for us to keep the public safe and live within our means. In 2009, our public safety funds were significantly in a deficit. To avoid layoffs and to balance the budget, we stopped hiring. By 2015, we were back, and we've been hiring police officers and firefighters since then.
While we're down from our peak level of staffing in the police department, we're also significantly down in our calls for service to the department. Over the last few years, as population and calls for service have increased, we're also fortunate to return to hiring officers.
So we've been recruiting in-state for a long time, but now we have that extra effort to be able to go out-of-state to recruit. What an amazing opportunity to increase the number of people that we find and can look for to build our staffing here in the Phoenix Police Department.
It allows a safe, effective response to whatever emergency is happening in the city of Phoenix. So whether it's a heart attack, if it's a house fire, structure fire, if it's a mountain rescue, is that by having 4-person staffing, it ensures adequate, safe response to meet whatever needs we encounter.
Now keep in mind, this year's budget hasn't been adopted just yet. Your input is important, and the City of Phoenix wants to hear from you on what the upcoming budget should look like. So to recap a few highlights. The 2017-18 trial budget calls for 16 new police assistants to free up sworn officers from administrative work, 22 park rangers, which would allow some trailheads to be open longer during the summer, eliminating 6 vacant positions to free up money to expand the city's homeless outreach. Again, this is a balanced budget with some money set aside as a head start for future use. 17 public hearings will take place this month across all council districts, and you are encouraged to attend. Make sure you pick up a budget pamphlet outlining all the proposals and options at any of the public meeting or online at phoenix.gov/budget. You can also send your comments or questions to budget.research@phoenix.gov, or to reach us by phone, please call 602-262-4800. You can also comment on social media by using #PhoenixBudget. Thank you for your interest in the City of Phoenix budget and being a part of the budget process.
All right, and I wanted to introduce David Longoria, who is Chief of Staff to the Vice Mayor, Laura Pastor. So the District 4 Council Office is also here to answer any questions you have. And just a reminder, if anybody came in, because I see a straggler coming in the back of the room here, comment card, speaker card is in the back. Please feel free to hand them out if you haven't, or to go get one and bring that, and staff will bring that up to us if you need one. But I'll call these in the order I received them. Bill Shepard.
Good evening, my name is Bill Shepard. I am a resident of District 4. I live at 77 East Missouri. And I'm here to talk about the arts. I'm the vice president of a group called Friends of the Phoenix Public Art. And all our Phoenix Public Art, which there's a lot of around here, is in need of preservation, fix up, repair, and the city contributes some money to that, and then my group goes out and raises additional private funds to contribute to that. Last year, the city gave $25,000 toward it. I don't see anything in the trial budget about it. I would hope that we may be able to find an additional $25,000 this year. I can assure you that the money my group raises, we will more than double or triple that amount in terms of what we will contribute to preserving things like, for example, one of my favorites in District 4 is the streetscape on 7th Avenue between Camelback and Indian School. It's those funky little shade places where they have, places to sit, you can park your bike or whatever, but you also can look at a painting or see a poem, which we have up there. And those things need work, and they need to be constantly maintained. The other thing I want to speak to is the Phoenix Arts Grants Program. I've been a big proponent of arts grants for years and years. Have asked for a long time that we get to a level of at least $1 per capita, which would be about 1.2 million Phoenix Arts Grants. We're not nearly there yet, but I'm going to keep asking for it and pushing for it as long as I'm around. And I was saddened to see that this is the first year since Mayor Stanton's been mayor that there wasn't a proposal for an increase in the Arts Grants Program. But I'll work on that too. Thank you for what you've done, and let's do more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. Thank you for coming out tonight. The next card is Justin Johnson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for opening the process up for everybody. I appreciate staff and Councilwoman Pastor, as Chief of Staff as well, for putting this together and giving us a chance to speak. I'm actually here today for CAS. CAS is the Central Arizona Shelter Services program that is offered mostly in downtown Phoenix. They have, I believe, 4 other campuses. Most of us have experienced, as a resident in District 4 as well, but have experienced an increased population, a homeless population specifically. We've seen it in our parks and our neighborhoods and throughout the city. And CAS actually provides, we're the largest homeless shelter in the region actually. We've kind of set the gold standard, I think, for the services that we offer to homeless families and individuals, single adults as well. We give a big credit for Ed Zerker, for city manager, for the budget you put forward with the $500,000 increase to the outreach program. I think that's going to be a significant help. The concern we have at CAS is that we're going to have this outreach program that's going to encourage people to go to specific shelters and seek services, and we aren't going to have enough caseworkers to be able to provide the services needed to help folks from recidivating into the program. Right now, we're already under budget. We've been operating under budget, obviously, for the last probably 20 years, but it seems like our budget continues to decrease as minimum wages grow, as health benefits increase, etc. It's made it a lot tougher for us. And we already operate under a 50-to-1 client to caseworker ratio. The federal average standard right now is 30-to-1. So it's imperative, I think, for us to be able to hire caseworkers, more caseworkers, in order to achieve the goals that we want, where we can keep beds open by having people in the system for much less time, getting them back on their feet. I'm a home builder. That's what I do for a living, and what I do as a volunteer is try and make sure that people that can't afford to be in a house have the opportunity to, for folks that are concerned about where they're going to stay tonight, have the opportunity to seek shelter. And so this is a big important issue for us. We're respectfully asking for $400,000. We think that will help us with our budget needs. We are actually going and seeking private funds as well to make sure that we're leveraging with our city partnerships. But if we can get a secured $400,000 budget piece, I think for this term, I think it would be a significant help for what seems to be an increasing problem in most of our neighborhoods. So again, thank you so much for allowing me to have a chance to speak, and for the constituents as well. And that's it.
Super. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Appreciate you coming tonight. All right, the next card I have is John Walker.
Hi, good evening. I'm here on behalf of the Phoenix spokespeople and our roughly 2,500 supporters. I'm here to ask that the City of Phoenix continue to support increased and improving bike infrastructure. It's really important, I think, for the city, and there's various reasons. Safety is important, and that's been emphasized here this evening, or at least in the plan. And specifically the safety of the bike commuters, cyclists, and the drivers out on the roads. Our position for the 4 or 5 years that we've been around is simply having a painted bike lane on the street isn't necessarily enough. We are requesting the city install some separated bike lanes. Tempe's already done that for the past couple of years, and I hope we can catch up and exceed them in that. 8 to 80, I think, is an important phrase, and what that means is if you see a street where you don't think an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old person would be safe riding their bike, then there's probably something wrong with that street. Short of residential streets, I don't think really any of the City of Phoenix's streets would fit into that category, so we really hope that with the T2050 funds that are now available, the city will move in that direction to put in some significant infrastructure. I know 3rd and 5th Avenue is heading in that direction. 3rd Street eventually will be, and there's other projects in the works. The health and environment, obviously, Fit Phoenix is an initiative, and that really falls into line with improving and promoting people getting around by bikes. And if you're not going to see those numbers unless you put in appropriate infrastructure. Pollution in Phoenix largely caused by cars, so if we get individuals to ride their bikes, not only will it help their health, it'll decrease the pollution issues. The economy, you see a lot of that in downtown, the central core area. There's increased density, so it really goes hand in hand that we find alternate modes for people to get around other than driving in cars. And the livability, as you've seen also in downtown, there's just a huge number of residents moving down there and increased density. So there's been some great movement in that area. Roosevelt has seen a great improvement with the bike lanes there. They're getting used quite frequently and promoting with the businesses and people coming down to the businesses there. There is really, I think, a huge amount of community support, not just through our organization. The City of Phoenix recently in February put in a open house for improvement on Oak Street, which goes through Coronado neighborhood, which is my neighborhood, and the support there was just overwhelming at that open house. And in fact, one of the residents there has proposed some additional exciting changes, and he started a change.org petition that he's going to deliver to the city. He started it 2 days ago, and there's already over 200 signatures of people that have signed on that support those improvements, and Phoenix Spokespeople does support those improvements. Like I mentioned earlier, we've been working to improve infrastructure for about 4.5 years. I know that getting this executed can take some time, but we hope that the city moves in that direction and keeps us in mind during the budget. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. And so I have a final card, Franklin Marino. Mr. Marino?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Franklin Marino. I'm a resident of the City of Phoenix. I actually live in District 2. I'm a homeowner. I'm a taxpayer. I'm also a city employee. I'm a 22-year veteran of the Phoenix Police Department. I'm also the secretary of the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association, the union that represents rank and file Phoenix police officers and detectives. And that's great. We're going to hire 16 police assistants that are going to be able to go out and handle some of the priority 3, the report calls, the minor crashes. But the problem is right now we're down close to 471 sworn officers from where we need to be because the city in its infinite wisdom decided that we're going to balance the budget on the backs of law enforcement. We're the 6th largest city in the country, okay? And one of the things that's unique isn't so much our population, but the fact that we are spread out across 530 square miles. We go from Anthem to the Gila River Indian Reservation, north to south, Peoria, Glendale, Tolleson on the west, Scottsdale, Tempe, Chandler on the east. It's a lot of ground to cover. And by not hiring, we're continuing to do more with less. So basically, we have a staffing crisis. So while we appreciate that they freed up money to hire, projected hiring, from what it seems, is that we're looking to hire up to where we'd be at 3125 sworn by June of this year. Well, that's actually 260 officers less than where we were in 2008. So the question is, why are we hiring fewer officers than where we were almost 9 years ago? Needless to say, we need to get the police department safely staffed because the citizens are the ones that are suffering. They're the ones that are waiting an inordinate amount of time for a police officer to respond at their moment of need. Our emergency calls right now, average response time is 7 minutes. When I came on 22 years ago, we wanted to be there in 5 minutes. And again, that's an average over the city. So we've talked to some officers out in the field where response times are taking them anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to get there. And a lot of that has to do with the sheer geographical size of the city that our officers are covering. And again, it's with fewer personnel than where we were. So I would just ask that the city come up with the funding to properly staff the police department. We believe it should be 2.5 officers per 1,000, which would give us 4,000 sworn. Phoenix wants to be a world-class city, but it's tough to do when public safety is treated more like third world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marino. The next speaker card is from Amy Williamson.
Hello. Sorry, I'm a bit short.
You can feel. Thank you, Jeff.
So my name is Amy Williamson. I'm a resident at 1910 West Holly Street in Phoenix, Arizona, 85009. Thank you for having the hearing today. I am here today because I have an interest in more funding for trees here in the Valley, specifically here in the city of Phoenix. There's a something funded by the city of Phoenix or published by the city of Phoenix and this ASU School Sustainability that shows that about the return on investment for trees is $2.23 per tree, and per capita, I'm not quite sure how much is spent on trees here, but I would really like to see more funding going to parks and trees here in Phoenix to reduce how hot it is, especially in the summer. The shade plan notes that the average in, I think this was published, I can't remember when this was published, I think 2010, but it was 7.65. Ideally, I'd like to see us go towards $10 per capita for parks and trees. I think trees are an investment that isn't necessary, or a piece of infrastructure that isn't invested in the same way that other parts of infrastructure are invested in. So it would be nice to provide more funding to Parks and Rec and to any other departments that provide funding for trees. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Any last folks who wish to speak? All right, David, do you have any comments from the council office?
Thank you, Paul, and thank you everybody for coming out tonight. I just want to express on behalf of Vice Mayor Pastor her thanks to you for her constituents and for those from outside of the district for attending tonight. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here because she's at a funeral this evening. She was hoping that that she would be joining us a little bit later, but I just want to express on her behalf the importance for this kind of participation from citizens in coming out and expressing what your priorities are and what you feel you would like to see in your budget, because this really is your budget. And the direction that the mayor and council, certainly that the vice mayor is going to take on this, will come from your level of participation and your opinion on the matter. So with that, thanks again for coming out on behalf of Vice Mayor Pastor.
So hearings continue through April 20. I think in the back is some description. So I think if you have interest in being at other budget hearings, then you'll find more information about that. Again, as was stated in the video, email us, call us, use social media, share your opinions, they matter. Our next step is that we will collect up all of this feedback, share it with the council, and staff will be back in front of the city council in early May, May 9, and then there'll be a follow-on budget action towards the end of the month on May 23rd. So thank you all for coming out tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time and look forward to seeing you in the near future.
You have been watching a community budget hearing held recently in Phoenix. For questions, comments, or ideas, please visit phoenix.gov or call 602-262-4800. You can also send feedback through social media by using #PhoenixBudget. This video can also be seen online at phoenix.gov/PHXTV or youtube.com/City of Phoenix AZ.